contesting in the A group, but we have to see a few athletes making errors for Schroff to be in amongst it, I think, today. Quick look at the records for you. Some seriously good records in there for some seriously good athletes. Time then to get our women's 75 kilo division underway. Group A. 8 athletes to come to the stage. Lydia Valentin of Spain, the defending champion, is here to defend that title. And alongside me, our Eurosport weightlifting expert, Michaela Breeze. We should see a decent contest for these medals, and we've got a couple of unknowns in there, especially with Pachabut of Belarus.
Yes, we have. Looking at the start list, you'd have to put your money on Lydia Valentin of Spain, but there are some youngsters coming through the ranks. Pachabut, you mentioned earlier, from Belarus, has come up from the 69s. Why? Because they already had 2 quality lifters at 69 that competed yesterday, and she's a little bit unknown in this category, and I think, you know, there's 1 or 2 lifters that could put some pressure on.
Irina Deka, though, is first on stage for Ukraine and equals the best snatch lift we saw from Group B from Nina Schrott. It's an embarrassment of riches for some of the nations here who've come with their main lifters. The likes of Russia just not pushing at this European Championships, but some nations here are performing very well.
Yeah, Russia have come with their 2nd, 3rd, 4th ranked lifters, which is fairly impressive that they can still hold their own on the big stage, even with a far from #1 team. So they're kind of resting their top athletes for the Worlds, I guess, later this year.
Namava onto the stage. 2nd of 2 Belarus athletes in this category, Pachabut being the other one. Coming in at 100k on the snatch. Taking a bit of a rap on the way up there, but she's got it through very nicely.
Well, that's it in this penultimate day, and tomorrow as well, the last day of lifting. We're going to see the heavier women and the heavier men pushing for the medals. And I tell you what's really good to see is athletes that are now getting bigger in size are still moving with extreme athleticism, very quick underneath the bar, very flexible, very mobile. And anybody who thinks weightlifting is just about brute strength and ignorance, well, come and have a go.
There's your challenge then for today from Michaela Breeze. Good to see Suzanovic, yesterday's gold medalist in the 69 kilo division, cheering her to Belarusian compatriots on. So successful from Naumova, successful from Deka, and a good tidy start to this competition. Russia next up onto stage in the shape of Ekaterina Yudvalina. Yudvalina, the 2014 under-23 European champion, so another athlete that brings that little bit of pedigree and that little bit of winning experience to the stage, but this is a step up for her in terms of senior quality. We've been very impressed with these 2nd and 3rd string athletes from Russia. Technique going right across the board. It's very impressive.
Oh, a bit slow sitting in underneath the bar, sorry, quick underneath the bar, but a bit soft in the receiving position. But it looks a very comfortable weight. She has a personal best of 112 kilos. And these Russians, although they're young, although they're relatively inexperienced compared to some of their counterparts, they've got a lot to look up to. The world and European records in this category held by Zabolotnaya, former Russian. So these athletes will have seen these weights shifted, will know what they've got to aim for to be the best on this kind of platform. And this is all about experience for some of the younger, less experienced Russians.
Zabolotnaya's world and European record in the snatch, 1:35. Goodness me, that's serious. Yudvalina, though, successful at 1:02. As Gana Kozenko heads out onto stage, 2nd of the Ukraine athletes. We've already seen Deka go clean at 100, and she comes into the competition at 1:03.
Oh, very fast to the very deep receiving position. It really is a race against the bar. How quickly can you get underneath? The aim is to try and get that bar moving upwards, giving you some time to get underneath. And you can only really see this in slow-mo. As she changes direction, watch how much higher the bar continues to come. You really need a slow-mo about 3 or 4 times slower than that to see it. Very, very quick. The bar doesn't go much higher than waist height.
Natalia Prosepa could be the main challenge to Lydia Valentin today. the 25-year-old from Moldova, has a very good record in this particular discipline. Picked up the bronze medal in last year's European Championships in the snatch category.
Not quite as tidy, but dynamic under the bar, lands on flat feet. That's why you hear the noise, you can hear the landing position. And I'd encourage any athlete to land on flat feet. Shows that you're on good balance. If you land quietly, the chances are you've landed toes first. It's a really solid lift.
Good work then from Prsepa, who's into the lead. Good disciplined, clean lifting has really characterised the women's competitions here in Tbilisi, and we're getting it again. It's been all successful lifts so far from 100 kilos up. Deka, who started at 100 kilos, comes out for her second round lift. The Ukraine athlete moves to 104.
Just that split-second hesitation in the receiving position. Nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely allowed. You can sit there as long as you want. The longer you sit there, obviously, the harder it's going to be. But she needed a moment to steady herself. In the starting position, leads with the chest, good extension. And sat in a very straight position. If you want to know how tricky this is, at home watching, go and get a broomstick, sit in that squat position, bar overhead, and you need to keep your feet flat.
It's sometimes difficult to characterise, isn't it, exactly what it means to lift these kind of weights, to actually put that into context. Until you've done it, it's tough to know what it's like.
Well, it's tough to know, but it's also appreciating the athleticism of these athletes. You know, yes, they're strong, yes, they're powerful. They have the speed, the strength, the power, the, say, agility, not in terms of a game player. We may look at changing direction, but that full extension to dropping under the bar, the flexibility, the coordination. In terms of components of fitness, weightlifters have pretty much everything.
Nice recovery from Noa Kochankia there of France. Not her best lift by any means, that little stagger forward on 105, but the experience of this athlete allowing her just to control that weight and make sure that was a clean lift.
Yeah, just taking the bar on her upper body as it passed the knees, that would have pulled her forwards onto her toes. Small shake of the head there. There, as the bar was around mid-thigh, she was right forwards onto her toes. Caused the error, but she managed to save it, running back underneath. So long as you stay on the platform, you're fine.
Daria Nomava comes out then for her second lift. Successful at 100k, just to get a number on the board. Again, a long pause in that receive position, but a nice finish, good leg strength in the end.
Well, she looks tremendously strong in that receiving position. In terms of stature, 75 kilos or just under in body weight, but long back, shorter arms and legs, really good levers, very compact, very solid around the joints.
Just 19 years of age, and it won't surprise you to hear that her clean and jerk PB is very impressive.
Very, very quick, powerful, strong.
So if she can put another good lift together in this series, that'll set her up nicely for the slightly stronger phase of her competition. Katerina Yudvolina then next out for Russia. 102 in her first round lift, and a little bit of an issue with it, but got there in the end, so moves up 4 kilos to 106.
No. Slightly hesitant at mid-thigh. Guessing that was forward. You can only really see from the side replay. It's the first failure we've seen in this category.
Well, she's got a number on the board, but this is just a little bit too much for the under-23 champion.
Didn't look too bad. Maybe just a bit soft sitting in, tried to catch it a bit too high. You can just see her sinking that last little bit. Not much wrong with that. Back out, have another go.
For the viewers who haven't done this kind of lifting at home, essentially when you pull that weight away from the floor and get it to the position where you can get under it, is there a moment where it should feel lighter? I know it's all relative, but is there that moment where the weight floats and you go under and then take that weight again and move up?
I wouldn't say it feels lighter, but yes, there's a moment where the bar floats, so it's the transition between full extension and dropping under. That's the time where basically the bar is hanging in the air, it's floating, and if you look at it in slow-mo, the bar will actually travel up another 4, 5, 6 inches based on the leg power and the forces that you impart on the bar. So as you start to change direction and drop under, that bar should continue to rise, and that's, I guess, the time when you get the float and the weightlessness.
Evelina wasn't far away with that last attempt, but ability to move on in this competition now restricted. Comes back out at 106, and this will be the heaviest that she can register in the snatch competition.
It's better.
Yeah, gets it right this time.
Well, some very good lifting from the young Russian. 106, she's got 2 out of the 3. And she now has a good chance of progressing in the competition. She will be disappointed with her second attempt, because that looks solid. Yes, she had to work for it, but you expect these athletes to have to work for every single lift. And they're lifting pretty much on a limit here. There's not much more there in terms of kilos. Really nice position, sits nice and straight.
Yes, a successful second lift would have allowed her to have a go at those around her, like Kozenko and Namava and Decker, who look like they're going to come back in for their third lift at 108. But Kozenko 107. Ooh, goodness me, that's fiercely strong, isn't it? Can't get it stabilised eventually.
Well, we wasted a significant amount of energy there. That's tough to do.
Very bizarre set of movements for that 107.
You respond instinctively to what happens. Here in the squat position, oh, just needed a tiny pigeon step at the bottom, but managed to stand with it. It's tough, you know, that requires a ridiculous amount of strength in the bottom position. Usually you get the kids getting away with that, not the senior lifters. Injuries are a high risk when you start moving in that kind of position.
So Kozenko successful. Next out onto the stage, Prisepa.
And a little bit more laboured through the second phase. Almost tried to pull and shrug the bar that bit higher. So as she changed direction, the bar was coming down with her. Very, very strong though, Prisepa.
Yeah, good stuff from her. 2 successful lifts, moves it to 107 and gives herself that option with lift 3. Just having a look at those around her and seeing what she's going to come back out onto the stage to try and attempt. Next onto the stage, it's Gail now Kachanke of France. Kozenko leads with 107, then Yukvalina with her 3 lifts has got her to 106. Now Kachanke is actually in third with her first lift of 105, and interestingly we're waiting to see a youngster, Daria Pachabut, come out, lifting out of her normal weight category, the Belarusian, against the defending European champion Lydia Valentin. Those are the 2 athletes yet to come in, and they're saying 110, 112, if that's to be believed. We will see. But for now, Neo Kachanke looking at 108. This would take the lead.
Oh, very fast off the floor.
It's very athletic lifting, isn't it? It's a bit all over the place, but it's incredible.
I'll tell you why it's all over the place. It's because of the speed that she comes off the floor. There's a much greater room for error before the bar gets to mid-thigh. So by coming off at that speed means it's very hard to accelerate even further. I try to coach acceleration as the bar passes the knees. The speed off the floor, to be honest, is not overly important, but it's what happens when the bar passes the knees that is. So I encourage my lifters to come off a little bit more controlled to make sure they get past the knees in the right position so they can impart the forces in the right direction.
So entertaining stuff from Neo Kachanke. She moves into the lead. Next up, Irina Decker. Been tidy stuff from Decker, 100 and 104, and she's put another 4 kilos on the bar here, and it's just a little bit too much for the Ukraine youngster. Yeah,
it's a shame.
One of our juniors in this competition, 18 years of age.
She has a best of 112, so it should have been within her capability. Obviously strong enough. See the frustration there. Maybe she's had a couple of niggles with injuries. Didn't quite get full leg extension into the lift. She'll be left back on 104.
Fiercely determined expression on the face of Daria Naumova. With another athlete still to enter this competition, it's fascinating stuff. Pachabut is waiting out Valentin at the moment. Those are the two athletes still to come to the stage.
Oh, good receiving position,
Wow.
stands strong.
108 then for Naumova. Great lifting from her.
That really was tremendous effort. Personal best coming into this competition of 104, so that's a 4 kilo personal best.
She is heavier though than Neo Kachanke. So that will mean she sits into second position at the moment. Presepa with one lift left. Wonder how big she's going to try and go. She's got to be a bit careful, hasn't she, Presepa? She doesn't want to push up too high and blow it. She needs a couple of kilos probably.
Well, although there are medals available in the snatch, the clean and jerk and the combined total, these athletes right now won't be worried too much about the snatch. They will want to be putting as many kilos on the board in preparation for what's about to come in the second half. They'll be looking at the overall total. The coaches might be more taking more note of what's going on for the individual medals, but right now just every kilo counts.
Kuzmenko, interesting lift last time out. 109 on the bar to take the lead and not even close there. And walks away very stiffly after that. Wouldn't be surprised if she's tweaked something after the movements that we saw at 108.
They may have tweaked something, but as I said a couple of days ago, all of these athletes are carrying some kind of niggles. Nobody trains at this level and gets away scot-free. It might be a bit of a sore back or a tweak in the glute or a sore elbow, sore wrist. All of these athletes will be dealing with their own aches and pains in their own way.
Confirmation then that Neo Kachanke still leads for France, just ahead of Naumova of Belarus, courtesy of that lighter body weight, and Presepa in third. But we wait for Pachabut and Valentin to enter the competition, and right on cue, there is the second of the Belarusians. Interesting story in terms of why she's in this division and not the lower weight. Pachabut not able to get a place in the 69 kilos. So she's kept the weight on to come up to this division, and could cause Valentin some problems if she shifts this.
Well, personal best coming into this competition, 105. There's 110 at a body weight of 69.18. That's a sign that she's actually had to probably drink or eat more just to make weight, and it's usually make weight in terms of cutting out food and drink. Here she's probably had to force feed to get herself up and over the 69 limit to make the 75 category. That was a tremendous lift, 5 kilos above anything she's posted on the international stage previously.
Pachabut leads then. The snatch competition in the women's 75 kilo division has just taken an interesting twist. Daria Pachabut of Belarus, 110 with her first attempt, puts her in the lead, and that just puts a little bit of pressure on those that are already in the competition. It also sends a message out to Lidia Valentin, although Valentin, the 30-year-old Spaniard with all that experience, she's been here before, and at last year's Worlds she was actually in the Pachabut role, putting pressure on the rest of the field, and nearly pulled off a great result there. Presepa, one of her main rivals for the overall title then, has put this bar up to 111. So that tallies with what you were talking about, Michaela, in terms of not worrying too much about the snatch medal, just going for a kind of weight that's going to put her in contention for the overall competition. If she misses it, she misses it.
That's right. I think Neo Kachanke is actually going for a medal here on the snatch. She's risking, I think she's gone up to 112 for her third attempt. Well, that was nowhere near from Presepa. Just hanging on too long, trying to use the upper body too much. And that's a big telltale sign on these kind of weights. You need to give yourself time to drop under the bar. You need to be generating upward float. Here, the bar changes direction pretty much at the same time she does. That's because she's trying to lift it with her upper body.
Well, never say never, but Presepa doesn't look as in good a shape as she did at last year's Europeans. So who else is going to emerge and push through and claim these medals? Now, Naoka Chanki, let's see what weight she goes for. Well, 111 is the call.
111, having seen Presepa miss that, this will guarantee her a medal.
We've seen 2 lifts from Naoka Chanki. On both, she's moved forward on the platform.
It's so good to see some of the Western Europeans on the podium here. She's guaranteed a medal already. She's in second place and only Lydia Valentin left to come into the competition. But this will keep her in contention on the clean and jerk, and that is some phenomenal lifting from the French lady. Naoka Chanki, 111, 3 out of 3.
Well, we saw Ruth Caceres bronze in the snatch the other day for Norway. France getting in on the act now. We saw Benacar yesterday for the men. Very good performance from him.
So 4 kilo personal best there. She needs to be careful. If you just watch, when she let go of the bar, look where her hands are. It should be below shoulder height.
Oh, yes.
That actually could well have been overruled, and I think the jury or her coaches at least would be telling her off for that.
Little bit of a slip mid-celebration as she released the bar. Gets away with it, though. Lydia Valentin, the defending European champion, onto the stage to enter this competition. Quality competitor. Great fun to watch, not just because of the socks and the hairbands, but a real technician. So 112 for Valentin to take the lead.
Oh, solid.
Oh, brilliant.
124 personal best, well within that. 12 kilos down on her best as an opening attempt, but I think she's probably feeling the nerves a little here. She would have been coming into this competition thinking it was fairly textbook and straightforward, but she's actually found herself now head-to-head with Pachabut, who unexpectedly has come up to the 75 kilo category. 2 lifters left in the competition, both with 2 lifts remaining. Lydia Valentin at the moment is in gold medal position on the snatch.
Yes, Pachabut has the added advantage of that much lighter body weight, significantly so. Only made this category by 0.18 of a kilo. There's Pachabut. So good start from her. Got 110 kilos on the board that has since been surpassed by Naoka Chanki and Valentin. So that's dropped her into bronze medal position. She's guaranteed a medal.
Well, I think sensible calls now from the Spanish team would literally be to take 1 kilo more than whatever Pachabut takes. Equaling won't be enough because Lydia Valentin is heavier on body weight, so she would just sit and wait, see what Pachabut lifts, and take a kilo more on each lift.
Yes, that marginal advantage to Valentin because she will have the last throw of the dice, the last lift in this snatch competition. Pachabut then, lift 2, 115 kilos. This to go 10 kilos beyond her personal best at the start of today.
Oh, solid lifting.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff. We got a real competition for the gold here in the snatch phase.
Yes, we have. Just so dynamic underneath the bar. Looks solid as a rock. Really great lifting. We've got a competition on our hands.
Well, the 20-year-old looking really relaxed, actually, in comparison to athlete 10 years her senior, the European champion, Lydia Valentin, who looked just a little nervy coming onto the stage.
Well, every year Lydia seems to be up against a different Eastern European athlete, whether it's from Russia, Belarus. They keep producing them year after year, and each year she thinks, who am I going to be up against this time? Who's going to challenge me? She's the quality lifter in picture right now. She's the one that has the stats behind her, but can she execute on the big platform?
Well, she is a show woman, and the show has really started. So, Valentin, just to surpass Pachabut, as Michaela suggested, by a single kilo. take that lead back, see what Pachabut is willing to gamble, and then Valentin will have a very clear picture of what she's got to do. But she can't lift the same weight as Pachabut. She's got to lift a kilo heavier or better if she's going to take this gold in the snatch phase of the competition. 1:16 then for Spain's Lydia Valentin. No. Oh,
came
interesting.
off on her toes. Chest was a little too low. Now she's under pressure. She'll have to come out and take this same weight again. Just going through the visualization before the lift. Not good enough. Needed to get a bit more extension. She's well capable of this weight. The rest of the athletes and the coaches backstage will be watching eagerly in anticipation, hoping that neither of these lifters get too far ahead on the snatch.
Advantage back then with Pachabut. Pachabut can just wait and watch, see what Valentin does. Does she decide to come back out at 1:16, or is she going to try and bump things up a bit and trust in her fabulous technique to get her home?
No, I think she'll come out 1:16. That would be the sensible call. She has a heavier clean and jerk than Pachabut. This is about the gold medal on the snatch right now.
But yeah, Valentin, you're right, has bigger fish to fry in terms of this competition. If it is at 1:16, she'll follow herself. But Pachabut, here we go, is an interesting throw of the dice.
Well, I can't see the weight that's been opted. Did Valentin go up, or has Pachabut come down? If Pachabut has come down, this will then force Valentin up to 1:17. This could well be a very sensible call from Pachabut. Lydia's gone up.
Yeah, Lydia's gone up. So Lydia's just going up to create herself a little bit more time and essentially make Pachabut show her hand first. But it does mean if this is successful, Valentin's got to go 1:18. Pachabut then at 1:17 to increase her lead. Oh, it's good. That's fantastic lifting.
Well, this means Lydia Valentin now needs 1:18.
Well, she can do it. It's certainly within her capability. But I would say the reaction that we've seen from Lydia Valentin today maybe suggests that the Spaniard doesn't quite feel as good as she has.
Well, she's going to need to go backstage and see where she left her legs, because she's going to need those for this third attempt.
Great lifting from the 20-year-old. She has looked so composed today and has come here with a real game plan.
Let's just put this in perspective. That's 117 kilos. She's come up to this category. Her current personal best was 105. That's 12 kilos on her snatch best. That's pretty impressive lifting.
Yeah, that's a tricky one to get your head round. But those are the vagaries of competition sometimes. These athletes move around, come out of the woodwork and lift some incredible weights, and that's exactly what Pachabut has done. So the pressure passes back to the defending champion. Lydia Valentin at 118 kilos then. She lifts this. She takes the first gold of the 3 on offer here in the 75 kilo category. Final lift then of the snatch with Lydia Valentin. And it's as she would want it. This for the medal. It's there, and Lydia Valentin calls on those considerable reserves of experience to bring home a gold medal for Spain, and she's on her way. And if we look back to last year's competition, where she was clean across the board, that means 4 in a row for her.
Well, you can just see the wiping of the sweat off the brow. She knows how risky that was and how close it was. The smallest of error there, and she would have found herself way back in second place, and the pressure really on. But that's a sign of a true champion, being able to come out and execute when it matters. She found her legs on that lift, and that was some tremendous lifting under some serious pressure. Really well done.
What a cracking head-to-head between her and Pachabut. Pachabut asked the question, did all the right things, but in the end just gave that extra bit of edge to that final lift. And that seemed to be what Valentin needed to get it going and to get it right. So Valentin moves herself into a very strong favourite now for the remaining gold medals. We know how good she is in clean and jerk. And that overall defence is open and ready.
And she'll be having a chat now saying, where did Pachibut come from? 12 kilos on her best to put me under pressure.
There you go, Pachibut silver. Now Kachanki, fabulous bronze there for France, but it's Lydia Valentin for Spain that takes gold in the snatch.